Okay, I'm going to show you real quick how to apply your base face, your foundation, and your primer. And you probably got the Flawless 4, which is why you're getting this video. So you're going to start with your Touch Glorious primer. This is going to be your base. I use about that much. You can use a little less, a little more, but I would start with less than you think you need. And what I do is I make sure to put that in my places that I get oily and that my makeup would tend to kind of slide off. And where you have fine lines. So I tend to kind of do the T-zone. Nose, and then kind of right down the middle, and then my forehead. I'm having a good bang day, guys. I know, you're like, what? My bang's actually like sitting where I want it to. I need to get some hairspray. So this is gonna feel so smooth and silky, and you're gonna love it. Now, with the primer, I'm not gonna let it dry very long. For you, I would let it dry for a minute or two. You want it to set before you put your foundation on, but I don't want to sit on this video waiting for primer to dry. So, you want to let it dry and set for a few minutes. I am going to let it dry for a minute because the next thing I'm going to do is the concealer. For me, if I am using concealer, pretty much actually I always put it on before my foundation because I like to blend it with my foundation over it. You can also go back and put a little bit more onto like spots on your face if you tend to blend too much of the concealer off with your foundation. But for under eye, I think it's always important to do before your foundation. So what I do is I take the tiniest drop. This is the most pigmented, that's probably too much. Most pigmented concealer ever. So the kind of trick to this, there's a couple different things. You don't want to use too much. You want to make sure you're putting it in the right place and letting it warm up on your skin. So either you're putting it on the back of your hand or on your fingers, or letting it sit on your face for just a minute. That's important because it's going to make it more pliable and easier to blend and move around. Now here's the trick. You've probably seen the triangle. You want to keep it in like a downward motion. You don't want it just to go straight underneath like raccoon eyes, but you don't really need it over here. So if you look at my eyes, you can see the darkest space is just right here. So that's where I'm going to tap my concealer. Okay, and I'm actually just gonna let it sit for just a few minutes because it's gonna warm on my skin and make it easier to blend. Okay, so I would probably, I'll just let it sit for a minute. Now there's a couple different options of how to blend it. If you have a similar brush, this is a powder concealer brush. So on this end is this really neat little tiny brush, and it's perfect for blending because it gets right into that corner. Another option is a foundation or a concealer brush, which the end looks similar to like this, so it's gonna be flat. You could use that to press that in. And the third option, I guess there's 4 options. The third option would be a beauty blender. These actually I think work the best. My problem is my makeup is in my office and I don't have a sink, and you have to really have it damp so your makeup doesn't just absorb into it. So you get it damp and then you squeeze out the extra liquid and it's just a damp sponge, and then you would just press. But because my makeup is in my office and I don't have a sink, I tend to use it less because I don't want to go get it wet. But that's probably, I think, one of my favorite ways. The last way is just to use your fingers, and using your ring fingers is really good because it's gentle. Underneath your eye is your most gentle area, so you get wrinkles and lines easier. So if you just tap with your fingers, that is another option. I'm going to use this side of the brush. So I'm still going to kind of use like a tapping motion. And again, I'm going to keep it and blend it just right in this corner and then kind of buff it out underneath. So I am going to get a little bit of the concealer out underneath, but I'm not going to cake it, and the most of the product is going to be here. So it's staying out of my fine lines and wrinkles. So same thing over here, and you're just going to blend it however. I kind of blend a little into the corner of my eye, a little under, and then just kind of take the excess product and buff it or blend it out this way. And again, if you're using your fingers, you're just patting like this, basically. Okay, but you do want to bring some of it down so that you don't have like a raccoon eye effect of just having it just in the corner or just under your skin. Okay, so that's the concealer, which I love. And then your last 2 products, obviously, is your foundation. So this is a different foundation probably than you've ever used. There are no parabens or sulfates or preservatives. So what you're going to want to do is pull up your dropper, empty it into the bottle so that you make sure you mix it well, and then you're going to shake it for a second. Because there's no preservatives, some of the liquid will separate. So you want to make sure you are shaking it. Okay, now you want to use a brush. Hear me clearly. Do not use your hands, okay? I have this puffy brush that I like to use, this powder brush. I have you could use a brush similar to this, like the powder concealer brush. There's also, if you have it, the liquid foundation brush, which is this really dense brush right here. Okay? And you can always message me and ask me. If you need a brush, please message me. Or if you're curious if one of the brushes you have will work, you can message me and we can check. So use a brush. This is a serum foundation, so you don't need a lot. So you can either drop it directly on your brush or drop it directly on your face. But you need about 5 drops. I wouldn't start with more than 5 drops. I did like a half drop there. So, I mean 4 or 5 drops I would start with. Then you're going to take your brush, or again, you can drop it right onto your face, whatever you like better. And then I'm just going to dab it all over just to spread that foundation out. Okay, so now you're going to lightly, with a light hand, buff your foundation. Okay, you are going to want to work that down your chin and onto your neck, because your neck is actually a different shade than your chest, and your neck is a different shade than your face usually because it doesn't see the sun as much. So you want to work it down so you don't have that funny line. Make sure you're working it along your hairline, just in case you're a little darker or lighter, you don't have that line either. Okay, so you're going to buff and blend, buff and blend, buff and blend. I do my eye makeup first, because then that way when I'm buffing like this, I'm cleaning up underneath my eye area with the concealer, and I hope my bang stays good. I gotta spray this bad boy. Funny things we get excited about, right? Okay, so there is that. And then the last step, super quick and easy, not that one. There's translucent setting powder. So you can see, I mean, like, oh, I just love this foundation so much. Now, if you have say I had acne right here, which I do get, or I have hyperpigmentation, sometimes I'll put some extra here, or even just a little concealer. I'll show you real fast. If you have a spot, you can, the nice part about being a serum foundation, so just kind of show you, this is concealer. The nice part about it being a serum foundation is you can actually go back and put a little bit more on a certain area. It's buildable and it won't get cakey on you. Okay, so all right, now the last step is your setting spray or setting powder. I use powder because I tend to be more oily, so I just kind of dump it upside down real quick to get some powder in there. I use the same fluffy brush, tap off the excess, and then I would just buff that lightly into the same kind of thing, the same areas that I would normally wear off my makeup. You also can use that setting powder to lightly dust under your eyes to set your concealer. And then I'm always doing, obviously, my forehead. So again, I'm just lightly buffing it on. And I'm all done. So if you have questions, if I left anything out, please let me know. But that is how you're going to use your Flawless 4. Thank you so much again for getting it. I'm super excited to hear how you love it, and let me know if you have questions. All right, bye guys.